Okay, so I kind of debated on what direction to go next on this, and I really feel strongly that we need to talk about protecting your potential credit scores coming and really protect your social security number. And I'm just going to kind of give you some blurbs of information. I'm hoping at this point, because our episode prior to this one was establishing a credit card, a secured credit card, so you've applied for a secured credit card and you have one coming. Therefore, there's no reason for you to get a new inquiry on your credit report. So we're going to walk through how to freeze credit scores, just slow down any chance of identity theft just a little bit. So what I need you to do on your notebook, making notes, is I need you to write down the 3 credit bureaus, and I'm going to walk you through what this looks like. So the 3 credit bureaus are Experian, Experian, Equifax, which is EQUIFAX, and TransUnion, TransUnion. So Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, those are the 3 credit bureaus. So what's critical right now is there's a little bit of a misunderstanding about protecting your social security number. Now that you've obtained credit and you actually are going to be of value to an identity theft person because you have such brand new credit and you're not really stretched financially according to the credit world, you are a target. So here's what you're going to do, and this is really, really, really critical to have a safe place to keep this information. You need to go to the internet and you need to search freeze TransUnion, freeze Equifax, freeze Experian. And you want to go to each one of those credit bureaus and set up an account with them directly. With the greatest thing about having credit bureau accounts is you can pull a credit report there, you can monitor what's going on with your credit within those bureaus. So there's a lot of positives to setting up an account with each individual credit bureau. With that being said though, let's walk through the importance of freezing your credit score. So when you go into, and I'm just going to use Experian as the example here, if you go to freeze Experian on a search engine of choice, Google that, whatever you want to do, it's going to take you to a place and you're going to have to prove your identity. You're going to know some things about yourself that you're going to have to answer because they want to make sure you are who you are. And so making sure that you are creating a profile in the right place, do your hovering and make sure you're looking at the right place on the internet, not just going to some fictitious site that gives fake information. Do your homework and make sure you're in the right place. But if you're going to go to freeze Experian, you're going to set up an account. It's going to give you a crazy amount of login and password requirements. You have to keep track of that. It's super critical that you keep track of that in a very safe place, because if you lose your credentials to get into these credit bureaus, it's like snail mail stuff to get your credit score unfrozen. So make sure that you keep track of where you're going to put this information, and do not put a sticky note on your refrigerator. Do not put a sticky note on your computer. It's like, get a little notebook, stash it in your safe where you put your gun, or put it in your safe where your birth certificate is, places where you protect things. And when you go to these sites, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, you're going to freeze your credit scores. Now, what's going to happen with this is, if for some reason some loser out there decides to steal your social security number and try to obtain credit in your name, if they go to apply for a loan anywhere, a credit card, car dealership, mortgage company, any type of loan at all, the credit report is going to come back and say it's been frozen, and they can't do anything from there. And so then what that identity theft person per se would have to be able to provide to the credit bureau, or to the creditor you're trying to apply with, they would have to be able to say, oh, yep, I unfroze my credit, so now you can apply for it. So you're not going to have identity theft as easy if your credit scores are frozen. So now that we've established credit, we're going to let this new credit kind of just ride and do its thing. Let's protect your credit scores. Let's protect your social security number. So you're going to go to Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, and you're going to search freeze those 3 bureaus so that you have the ability to just freeze those credit scores. And it stops people from being able to actually obtain your credit report. And it's going to help on a couple of things. It's not as convenient to apply for credit if you have your credit scores frozen. You have to pause for just a minute and unfreeze your credit. So here's where it gets kind of fun for me to lecture here is if you are at the Buckle in the mall because you just had to have that brand new pair of pants or that brand new shirt, and they say, if you would like to apply for a Buckle card today, you're going to get an extra 10% off, and that's a whole $15. Would you like to apply for that? The answer is going to be no, because you don't want that many revolving lines of credit open, and you're going to be able to talk yourself out of applying for that Buckle card because you've frozen your credit scores. So you just can't make that quick, on a whim decision to open all of those mall cards or quick and easy cards that you can get at some of those department stores. So what is critical once you've established credit, knowing that it is so fragile. Brand new credit is so fragile, you guys. You just have to be so careful. Any inquiry is going to adjust your score. Any late payment is going to adjust your score. Too much credit too fast is going to affect your score. We just have to be careful here until we actually get the base to our credit. So we've established our secured card. We have that coming. If it's already here, I want you guys to pause for just a minute with it because my next podcast that's going to come out it's going to really clearly explain the proper usage of that credit card and its balances. But now that we've got credit established, starting, we want to freeze those credit scores. So we're going to freeze them. And you can easily unfreeze them. It really isn't hard. You just have to have your credentials to be able to log in, put a temporary unfreeze on them, and you can still obtain credit so it doesn't lock you out of your credit forever. It just protects that credit score, inquiries, social security numbers, and all that. It's kind of interesting, and I'll just kind of take this on a side note. I was at a doctor's office this last week, and I was standing next to a couple that was right behind me, completely in earshot. I could hear everything that they said. And the gal behind the counter asked for a social security number of their child. First of all, it's a minor child. Don't be giving your social security number out. Anyways, that's a side note. But the dad just rattled off that social security number. And I thought, oh my gosh, you are not very smart. And it was all I could do not to just pause and say, listen, guys, let's have a quick little protect your social security number lesson here. But I didn't. I refrained, and now I'm kind of regretting it. But anyways, he just rattled that off. If I had been a crook, I could have written down that social security number, and I had the little kid's name. And all I would have had to do is just sit there and have a conversation with those parents and figured out their last name. I could have applied for credit for that kid. And yeah, he's underage, but there's some really interesting things that can be done on credit. So protect your social security numbers with your life. Don't be putting your social security cards in your wallet. Don't be writing it on a sticky note. Don't be texting your social security number to your spouse or your friend or your mom or whatever. Protect your social security number. And with that, your social security number being protected is going to protect your credit because you got to have your social security number to pull credit in most cases. Okay, so I'm hoping at the end of this, you guys have written down Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and those are the three bureaus. And then you're going to go to the internet and you're going to search freeze Experian, freeze Equifax, freeze TransUnion, and you're going to get a freeze put on your credit score so that we can make sure that those are protected. And make sure you're stashing that information on those credentials, your login and passwords, in a very, very safe place. So now we've established credit, kind of. We're getting our secured credit card lined out. Now we need to freeze our credit scores and protect them. So in our fragile frame that our credit scores are in right now, we're not going to get any damage that we don't need. I am super excited for this information to just be out in the masses. And I actually wanted to just let you guys know I have an email address just totally set aside for this. So if you have any questions, by all means, shoot me an email. And it's actually super easy to remember. It's adultingandafraid@gmail.com. So reach out to me with any questions you've got. I would absolutely love to answer them. Even if it's just a matter of I listened to that whole thing, Deborah, and I have no clue what you said. That's great. I can totally walk you down a path outside of the podcast, or at least reiterate things maybe a different way for you to really just grasp it and understand. So secured credit card on its way. We haven't maybe received it yet, or we have. Stash it for just a minute. My next episode, we're going to go through how to properly use that. This episode is teaching you to make sure you freeze your credit, and please, please, please protect your social security number by all means. And let's go out and be adults and not be afraid.